Hey everyone, Warwick's here. So I know I'm a little late on these, but I've been wanting to do a couple of videos on this. Today I'm going to look at the Dark Ranger hero talent tree that was released. This is going to be for Beast Mastery and Marksmanship Hunters. Now I've been playing Hunter off and on throughout the expansion, so I don't main it. I'm not necessarily a deep dive theory craft or anything like that. I haven't made guides on it yet just because at this point I don't think it's really worth it anymore. But it's a spec where I've always liked survival, I've always liked marksmanship, and I will deal with Beast Mastery Hunter as it is. It's not the most exciting spec to play, but when it's effective, it's usually straightforward to play. So I'm going to look at this more from the perspective of the Beast Mastery Hunter side of, or the Marksmanship Hunter side of things, because it's a spec that I'm continually trying to get good at. And I might be playing in an alt raid tonight, or I'll be playing Shaman, one of the two. Just to see what's going on there. But we're going to talk about this tree. I've heard some middling things from folks that play a lot of Hunter, whether it's Azatharian or Tarlo, or even folks outside of that you may not know immediately for being like real Hunter, thought out Hunter players. There's quite a few people that I've seen, Fandy being one of them, for example, that had some really interesting thoughts on the tree itself. So I decided I'm going to go deep diving into it. I haven't really watched a ton or listened a ton. I've just kind of took a brief glance, saw that Black Arrow was there, and saw generally the reaction to it. So I'm going to take a look at this and kind of give someone that is like an alt Hunter player's view on this. Just because I think any feedback that we can get to Blizzard on this is going to be good. We're going to start with the fact that the top ability is Black Arrow. Now, Black Arrow for a long time was a survival hunter ability, so the fact that it's being stripped away from survival to be given to MM and BM is interesting. Now, for the fact of Dark Ranger, I think this makes perfect sense, though, because of the class, or I guess the fantasy behind the Dark Ranger. So it makes sense, but it still kind of sucks a little bit. I think if survival was a range spec still, then you would see marksmanship and survival getting this build. But survival's melee, and it's probably going to stay melee for the rest of its life. So here's what we're getting. So Black Arrow, a little bit of a different feel than what it did for survival back in the day. Basically, it just does shadow damage, and then you get a chance to reset the cooldown or get a charge back of your aim shot or your barb shot. Now, from a MM Hunter perspective, this is okay, because aim shot has a decent enough recharge, and there's a lot of other things in the kit that allow you to get aim shot recharge pretty quickly, whether it's rapid fire CDRs, or you're getting true shot, or whatever the case may be. So it's fine. I don't think it's great, but I don't think it's bad. From a BM perspective, I think giving a recharge of barb shot is bad. I mean, because Frenzy is really easy to keep up as it is now, so it's not like you're needing it to maintain your debuff. It's just that these abilities, aim shot and barb shot, do opposite things. Aim shot's a focus dump for marksman, barb shot is the focus regen for BM. So how are you going to balance the proc rate on this? Because either you're going to flood the resources of one spec, or you're going to focus starve the other one. And so somebody's not going to feel good, because getting flooded with resources doesn't feel good, but getting starved of resources doesn't feel good either. So I'm kind of confused as to what they do with this. I would love to see them maybe do something where Black Arrow and Wailing Arrow can kind of combine here, where you get a chance to get a free Wailing Arrow that doesn't do the silence effect, but just does damage at 50% effectiveness. I think that would be much more fun. It adds a little bit of proc-based gameplay to BM Hunter, which already starting to just show some ramp-up time. But for marksmanship, it's just a good way to break up it breaks up the kind of fluidity it's starting to develop. But at the same time, if it's worth something like a Wailing Arrow, I think it's pretty good. I just looked on the left side here. Rangers Finesse, abilities deal more damage. It's boring, but these are the types of talents that you're going to find across every single one of these trees, I think. All right, we get our first choice node here. Dark Empowerment. You gain 15 focus when Black Arrow resets the cooldown of an ability. For marksmanship, I think that's pretty good. And then when a target affected by Black Arrow dies, the cooldown of Black Arrow is reduced by 12 seconds. Baseline, it has a 30-second cooldown, so you're getting it to a kind of an awkward 18-second cooldown, and it has a 16-second duration. So I don't know exactly how good Grave Reaper's gonna be. I think both of these are kind of meh. You don't really think about either of them. I'm probably gonna pick Dark Empowerment as a marksmanship player, just because the focus is gonna be quite nice to have. Intense Darkness, when True Shot or Call of the Wild is active, Black Arrow deals damage 50% faster. Now the question on this is, and I haven't seen any of the interviews, so if someone knows, please let me know in the comments while I continue to research this. Does that mean that it right now deals 8 ticks of damage? Is it going to deal, let's see, every 2 seconds, so 50% would be every second? Does that mean it does 16 ticks of damage? Or does it do 8 ticks of damage over 8 seconds? It's a question there that I would want answered. The other question is I know at least for True Shot, are you even going to want to waste a global cooldown to cast Black Arrow? Or you're going to have to Black Arrow, then True Shot, and then will that dynamically update? Questions that I have there. But again, I haven't done a ton of research into these, but these are just things that I'm thinking about that I would like to get answers to. For BM, all you really do in Call of the Wild is you don't have to cast as many multi-shots in AoE, because it gives you kill cleave while that's up. So, or beast cleave while it's up. So I don't think it does anything for BM. And, you know, you just, again, maybe you have to cast it a couple of extra globals before. But for MM, I'm really curious to see what we do. Down the middle, Dark Counts. Each time it deals damage, you have a chance to manifest an undead hound to charge your target and deal shadow damage. Cool. Make it cool like shadowy apparitions for Shadow Priest, and I'm in. I think this is neat. Here, I think this is probably the most interesting node on this tree. You basically get Embrace the Shadows, where you heal for all of the shadow damage dealt by you or your pets. So that's basically Black Arrow and your hounds, so probably not going to be a ton, unless they tune this thing to where shadow damage becomes a big part of your kit. I don't see this being good unless they goose the number to like 30 or 45. Smokescreen gives Exhilaration, gives you 3 seconds of survival of Fizz. Survival of Fizz activates Exhilaration to 50% effectiveness. That's a very good defensive node that I'd like to see in the entire, just in the Hunter class tree, frankly. I don't think it needs to be here. I think we just need to put it in the class tree. Shadow Surge, when multi-shot hits a target affected by Black Arrow, basically a burst of shadow energy erupts. Good for AoE. Like, eventually you're going to get this, so like it won't matter in the long term. I think the goal is by the time you get from 70 to 80, you're going to have all of these talent points in place. So like, fine. This is just a nice way to add a little bit of passive cleave. I know that for both specs, though, in pure single target situations, you're not taking multi-shot, so this hero talent point is basically wasted. And the once per every 6 seconds is bad. Now for BM, it's less bad because you're basically hitting, in big AoE situations, you're kind of hitting it every 6 seconds-ish anyways with the extended time on kill cleave. But for marksmanship, you're hitting, like, you got to get every ability off. So rapid fire and aim shot are both 2-second channels, I believe. So you're hitting this basically every 3.5 seconds, which means every other multi-shot this is going to happen, and that just feels bad. Death Shade, when you apply a Black Arrow to a target, you gain the Death Blow or Hunter's Prey effect. Death Blow and Hunter's Prey basically just make your kill shot available to use on any target. This is good for MM, pretty bad for BM because BM's kill shot is kind of meh. MM's kill shot is really good, so I think MM will like this. This is like the best, like the nicest node for MM, and it doesn't impact the rotation of MM at all because when you run Death Blow, you kill shot on cooldown anyways. Dark Chains, this is really good for PvP. I don't think it's going to be useful at all in PvE, and I kind of hate it. Darkness Calls, all shadow damage you and your pet deal is increased by 10%, which does play into potentially Embrace the Shadows getting a little bit of a buff. Or Shadow Assassin, kill shot has a chance to generate a charge of aim shot or black shot when used on a target affected by Black Arrow. I think for AoE purposes, you just take Darkness Calls so that you can take advantage of Shadow Surge. But for pure single target, 100% Shadow Assassin is going to be the play. Because you're only going to be hitting your Black Arrow target. And then finally we get Withering Fire. When Black Arrow resets the cooldown of ability, a barrage of Dark Arrows strike your target for shadow damage and increases damage you and your pets deal. That's fine. Just a nice little passive buff that you're going to get just for using Black Arrow appropriately. So really this tree, I think it's just, it has some talents that feel really underwhelming. Embrace the Shadows, both these choice nodes, this Shadow Surge, they all kind of feel kind of meh. But I know for marksmanship, it can sometimes feel like a lot to track when you're not experienced or you're learning the spec. And then having to add this really complex hero talent setup to it may be like overwhelming for some people. So the fact that it's kind of just there and it just does a bunch of stuff passively as long as you're using Black Arrow, I don't hate the idea of it. There's just a lot of little under the hood things that need to be tweaked. And that's where tuning and things like that are going to come into play. So overall, I don't think this is as bad as kind of what I was signaled for it to be. Are there things that are flawed inside of it? Absolutely. I think all three of these choice nodes really need to be looked at. Smokescreen probably just needs to be a class tree addition and you find some other interesting thing. And there's no utility here. Is there something that could be done with Wailing? I think Wailing Arrow really needs to be involved in this tree, considering that was the ability you got for getting Sylvanas' bow. Like, come the fuck on. Like, you gotta include Wailing Arrow in this tree somewhere. So the fact that that's not in there, I think is a massive oversight. But overall, I think this tree is actually okay as an alt hunter player. I'm not upset at it. If you were maining it all the time, I could see where some of the warts start to show itself. And again, I think it's just some tuning and some development time on these are going to be needed. That's why they're getting them out early. I think they really need to investigate really just these last three, or these two rows here. I think they really need to spend a lot of time focusing on this row. It's not the most exciting thing, but it helps in it. This rows, I think on most trees that I've looked at, is just really about giving you the things that are going to engage the rest of the tree. So this row I actually think is fine. It's these two rows right here that I think are shit. And then Withering Fire and Black Arrow, the top and bottom, are fine. I really want to see some Wailing Arrow synergies built in here because Wailing Arrow and the Dark Ranger just feel like they fit really well together. So please, Blizzard, incorporate Wailing Arrow into this tree a little bit more, and I think it's going to be a lot better, a lot more engaging, and a lot more thematic, because I know that's something that it matters a lot to you. Anyways, Gav, that's my thoughts on the Dark Ranger tree. I think if we put it on like a tier list, which I hate doing, but I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like, oh my god, this is a goated tree, I think this one's just a solid 6. I think there's some good things in it. Black Arrow being back in the game, I think, is a good thing. This first row, I think, is pretty good, and Withering Fire, I think, is a pretty good ability. But these middle 6 talents really, I think, hurt it quite a bit. So on a scale of 10, I'd give it a solid 6. I think it's fine. BM, I think, is not too thrilled with it, but MM, I think, is going to overall gain a little bit more out of it. So I'm good with that, because, again, MM is one of my favorite trees. So that's the end of this video, guys. Until the next one, I hope you all stay safe. I hope you're enjoying yourself. You're having fun. You keep on gaming. I'll see you all in the next video.